Thank you, Smacks. We're getting ready for Game 3 on the draft between No Org and Evil Geniuses. For Evil Geniuses Prodigies, we want to remind folks at home that these guys are all rookies, essentially. None of them have LCS or Academy experience. So for them to get this far, it is an incredible feat. They're doing extremely well. They are by far one of the better, if not best, fully complete amateur team in the top 4 between No Org, Solafide, and Barrage. Because when you look on the rosters of over those, they all have players that have had some Academy experience or some LCS experience as well. So, I mean, that is something to celebrate. When it comes to game, when we are pointing out mistakes for Evil Geniuses Prodigies and saying things like they need to be more proactive, they need to be more adaptable, you know, we're trying to be as straightforward and, you know, honest as possible. So if it comes off harsh, e.g., you know, sorry, man, we know that you guys have the talent to play better. And, you know, when going up against a roster like No Org, who has players like Viper and Anda who have been in LCS, you know, these things are harder to adapt to on the fly.
Yeah, it's definitely a big thing where you watch all of these teams to play through, and it's watching EG try and play through this. It's not that they're a bad team, as we've already touched on. They've made it to semifinals already. It's just that No Org are really good, you guys. No Org, Solafide, and Barrage, these teams that have had people that have been playing in LCS and Academy and all of these different places, it makes it very difficult for this team of rookies to really show what they can do. And I think it is also a situation where if we watch this EGP roster boundly defeating No Org, we would be celebrating them as potentially like the next coming of NA talent. And honestly,
yeah,
they're not too far away. They are showing these glimpses of brilliance. It's just a matter of actually figuring out how you can continue that, and just getting a little bit caught off guard because of how quickly No Org is playing. They are playing faster than almost any other team, even at like the professional level here in LCS. They are consistently playing these aggressive dives and these aggressive plays in ways that no other team really does. Even like Solafide and Barrage don't play this fast.
Yeah. This is essentially, you know, the closest you're gonna get to facing, you know, higher level competition. And, you know, at the most, it is a blessing for EGP to be able to get this type of competitive experience. You know, even in losses, there's always room to find improvements, opportunities to learn and grow. And that's the whole point of Proving Ground Circuit overall, is to, you know, show what individual talents and sparks of brilliance that you do have, and then be able to build upon that foundation, right? And as we get through the draft, we have to mention that one of the things that made it through the ban phase, because they took away the Ezreal and No Org decided to take away the Senna. So now Seraphine is on the table. I'm not sure which of the players is going to be piloting this, because we know it can go to either Aspect, Shiro, or Miss for this roster.
Yeah, it's definitely very flexible, and it's why you tend to see it all the time. So I'm kind of curious if this is the magic bullet that they need. No Org are in a situation where they are saying, we don't think you guys are good enough to pilot this. We think we are strong enough that we can even get through all of the things that Seraphine provides. An incredible engage ultimate, incredible sustain throughout the team fights, as well as pretty decent damage this entire time. So we'll see if they can actually do that. They do pick up the Olaf for themselves, which is one of Seraphine's biggest weaknesses, just getting run down, because she doesn't have a whole lot of tools in order to get away from these kind of players. So we'll see if Anda can really punish the fact that the Seraphine is in the game, or if it's just too strong.
And one of the shining members of this Evil Geniuses Prodigies roster is Tomio, right? On the past 2 games on the Olaf have not been his best, because it doesn't seem like he's really empowered, or he gets to really show his influence on the map, right? He gets the power farm, that's cool, but like there's nothing beneficial that comes out of that. Now on the Graves, this is someone that the more you put resources in, the better it is, because he's just going to continue scaling as the secondary marksman and damage threat the game later goes on. And with options like the Immortal Shield Bow, the more into crit itemization, it does make Tomio a harder to kill the later these team fights go.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm a little bit worried for this Evil Geniuses style of play, because You know, I talk a lot about the strengths of being a reactive team and being able to adapt to what the other team is doing, but it must be said, it is harder to play reactively than it is to play proactively. You're going to get really good results if you're the best reactive team playing against the best proactive team, but the problem is if you aren't always on the ball, if you aren't always reacting properly and you get caught out even just once, it can snowball that mistake into things that are much, much worse. And now, being on red side, we see Noorg as they pick up the Gnar, they're going to be banning away the Camille and the Jace, some of the biggest counters that this champion actually has, and that's going to be giving Viper a lot more freedom to be aggressive in this lane and hopefully not see the same kind of deficits he saw early in Game 2.
Yeah, you know, props to Surdy for being able to show that, hey, they have to respect the Jace, because that was something that could have been far more detrimental to Noorg's success in Game 2 than it actually was, just because EGP weren't able to capitalize on that lead as much as they wanted to. Value does pick up the Xayah, so it's going to give him a little bit of extra survivability and self-peel thanks to the Featherstorm. We do have 5 Fire as the last pick of choice for this R5, as Evil Geniuses need to define whether they... Alright, Shiro's going to be piloting the Seraphine.
Yeah. So this will be rather interesting, right? Azir does a lot. It has a ton of tools available. It's, again, in one of those champions that does a little bit of everything, and he does them all pretty darn well. And the Aatrox coming through for Gnar is a little bit worrying for Surdy. This is not a great matchup for the Aatrox historically. It's difficult to consistently get damage down, and if you miss one of your combos and Gnar is suddenly able to trade back without fear of you landing multiple Qs, it is very dangerous for Surdy to stay in that lane. And oh, okay. 5 Fire got to be having a bit more fun. Yes, this is a champion we don't see a whole lot, but it is fantastic into Azir because it's hard to punish. You don't have a strong ganking jungler in terms of the Graves, and as we are hearing from production, the first Veigar that we have seen this entire Challengers Uprising.
But it's definitely not the first Veigar for 5 Fire in his career, as this was a pick both only he and Robbie Bob of the old team Mirage team roster for Scouting Ground Circuit 2020. Both of them used this to great success whenever the Azir was locked in. So this is a familiar counter pick option for the mid laner of Noorg. And you know, the funny thing about Veigar is that if you let this game play slow and go long, I mean, Veigar is just going to continuously reach this point where he doesn't even need Primordial Burst to one-shot someone. He can just one-shot you with Q and W.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how much sustain you have if you're just dead, so we'll see how effectively he's able to play. One of the things that's going to be interesting in this game, though, is that the backline of Noorg plays at a shorter range than the backline of Evil Geniuses, right? You have both Aspect and Shiro on the Azir and the Seraphine, who play from really, really far away, whereas Xayah and Veigar can play from a greater distance, but it can get easily caught out and he loses a lot of DPS that way, whereas Value needs to be a little bit closer in, so that's just going to mean that he's vulnerable to a lot of the damage and crowd control that EGP is going to be playing.
I wonder if Smax is freaking out about the Veigar. I know that he talked a little bit during the pre-show about Cosmic Drive being a second item for some upcoming mages. I don't know if Veigar is one of those champions that utilizes it super well, as I don't have a lot of... Oh, wait a minute. And finds Surdy, and it looks like he already started Q, so he has to flash over the wall and not going to be able to dash out with the E. This Viper is going to continue the chase. Going to face check right into Surdy. Get some auto attacks in. And just going to push him back.
Badge.
Well,
poor Surdy, right? He's just... he's just getting bullied really, really hard this game. And this is really big because you see that Viper, I didn't see where the experience from it came from or where it ended up going, but he got the first ward down, so he might hit level 2 off of the first wave. His opponent doesn't have flash anymore, so it's going to be very difficult for Surdy to play in this lane that we already touched on as being a little bit difficult for the Aatrox to play in general. And look at this, Anda starting not the Raptor start, but doing the Wolf start. So he will also be top lane at around the 3-minute mark when Tomio is there. So all these pieces are now starting to come together for the side of NoOrg already. And we heard the stat from Smacks at minute 29. If the game is over before then, it'll be NoOrg's fastest best of 5 they have ever played in Proving Ground. And so far, this is a fantastic start.
I think it'll be the best. I think he also said it'll be the fastest best of 5 in all of amateur history, and that's a pretty big statement to make, considering that amateur has existed far beyond Scouting Ground circuit in 2019. Oh my God, Viper level 2.
You got level 2 off the first wave.
Yeah.
No flash. Not a lot that can be done. So I really like the fact that Aspect is going over here and getting a ward down. So they will see Onda as he transitions up in the top side of the map. Onda will also know he's on vision, but he also sees where Tomio is. So both junglers playing with effectively perfect information at this point. And Tomio is going to be in a rough spot because he's going to have to try and make a play that he normally wouldn't be able to do because he's on this vision, but he doesn't know that he's on vision. So he's going to try and take Viper by surprise, but he's just going to walk on out.
Yeah, they had a ward on the blue buff, so they knew that Tomio was coming. And notice how he has... I appreciate that Tomio has adapted his full clear path to opt out of the Krugs just so he could get here sooner before Anda would be able to interfere for a counter gank, right? But unfortunately, Viper was well ahead of the play, being able to get that ward earlier down onto the blue buff to spot that out. And Big is even rotating up just so they can fight for this Scuttle Crab here, Josh.
Okay, it's a bit too late, but like the idea is crazy, right? They try and bring people up this early. Big.
Ignite might be enough. The shield comes out. Fire flashes in, but it's a little too late. And now this is an opportunity for EGP to put themselves back in the game because Tomio and Aspector will be able to pick up first blood off of the mistake and a little bit over aggression from NoOrg.
Yeah, that was surprising. So I don't know exactly what led to it, but I know a couple things definitely happened. Value, back. He currently picked up a Cole, and now Onda. Whoo, careful, buddy. You got multiple people here, but I feel like this is something that they're going to opt into fighting anyway. They do.
Well, Fire did teleport back to lane. Tomio thought that they would have the numbers advantage. Shiro is finally here, but Tomio has the flash away.
No flash.
Aspect comes swinging over the wall with his own teleport. Fire still trying to keep Tomio at bay. We got another teleport. It's a party down here on the river. And all of this for a Scuttle Crab, but they're going to pick up Aspect on the back end of it.
They're just non-stop fighting, and it's working for them. It's crazy to see this. Like, Big is only level 2. I don't know if they got pushed out of lane or if they tried to cheat or recall or what, but Big had so much time to move around the map that he's able to come over here. Fire flashes forward to just try and get the last auto attack. And yeah, he does get Aspect's flash off of that, but at that point, at best, you're trading 1 for 1. As you transition right over here, like, watch how low Big goes, but they don't focus the damage on him quick enough. They don't have the ability to actually focus it, and he's able to walk in with like less than 50 HP. And because he's still alive, I think he might get another stun down here. Yeah, from that long range, able to just get a little bit more interaction. And just these small things that NoOrg is doing slightly better than EGP are really becoming huge breakpoints for the team.
The other thing, too, that we have to give credit over to NoOrg was Viper being able to get his Rage Bar up to Mega Form and then shoving in the lane against 30 and being able to teleport to secure that kill onto Aspect. And the fact that he was pushed out of lane, he teleported right back to join the fight and goes down, gives Fire a little bit of XP and gold advantage, at least a solid wave.
Yeah. And we'll see how effectively they're able to use that, right? Because Viper still hasn't backed, but he's going to be able to crash this massive wave and then go ahead and recall without anything further that he needs to worry about. And it'll be at a good time, right? It'll be before they're necessarily fighting for all these objectives. The Rift Herald won't spawn for a little while. The Dragon is something that he can choose to walk directly towards if that's something his team wants to prioritize. But instead, I think they're going to be trying to clear things out. And, whoa, he's doing this on vision. This could be really scary.
They must have known that Anda had path already over onto the top side of the map because he's recalling on Krugs, so they should be able to secure this dragon despite being on this Scuttle Crab. So, props to Evil Geniuses just finding an opportunity to be able to sneak this dragon on over. That'll be first Infernal going over to the side of EG.
Yeah. All right, so good. So this is looking good, right? They punished the first play that Big tried to go for. They pick up a dragon for themselves. So even though they're down about 500 gold, they have their first dragon for themselves. They punished one of the first plays that they've tried to go for. And despite the fact that Surdy's early game was looking really rough, he's only down about a wave at this point because Viper only got the assist on the opposite side of the map. It wasn't a big win for No Org, it was just a small win. So this game is actually suddenly very playable, and with a strong backline, oh, they just go.
Fi-Fire gets scooped up by the Shurima Shuffle. Aspect, however, cannot work well enough with Tomio because Fi-Fire is able to walk it out. Primordial Burst comes out. It's going to force Aspect away, and Anda, he's popped the Ghost. He's got the movement speed.
Nice. That's really good.
Yeah. Well, for Tomio, he's able to deal enough damage and threaten Anda. Does not pop the Ragnarok as Viper's just getting some chip damage down onto Surdy.
Yeah, no, I really like the fact. Oh, Big.
Well, Big wanted to go for the punish. He doesn't have Flash. He has Ignite. I guess Big was really trying to force that one. Wait, Surdy could die here. This is really dangerous. Jesus Christ.
Man, I'm going to talk about the things that make me happy. Tomio did a fantastic job screening for Aspect during that whole thing, right? He knew he wasn't going to be able to kill Anda during the whole thing, but he could do enough damage to him without dying that Anda couldn't chase down Aspect. And then there's something that also happened top lane, but that didn't make me happy, and it's kind of like how we were expecting the game to go this whole time. So we're going to pretend it didn't happen for a little while, because it makes me sad.
Oh well. You know, we can't get everything that we want in life, Josh.
We can't.
Yeah,
I want EGP to win. I like this team. They're cool.
Yeah. I mean, because we have to go back to what we said at the beginning before the draft phase, right? These are all rookies, essentially.
Yeah.
I think by far the most competitive experience at the highest level was Tomio being able to perform on Scouting Grounds for Team Infernal. And he looked fantastic. And not to say that Tomio isn't playing well, it's just, this is one of those situations where playing well individually is not going to be enough when you're playing against a better oiled machine and No Org. They're playing very well as a 5-man unit, and so therefore EG needs to be able to match and do the same thing, and right now they haven't been able to show it so far this series. There have been moments of brilliance between 2 members, or maybe 3 members being able to coordinate. For example, when we saw Tomio and Surdy being able to get that top lane punish over a Viper, and then almost the play on the Fi-Fire in the mid lane there between Aspect and Tomio, but it needs to be more. It needs to be more hard commitment, and it just requires a little bit stronger adaptability and finer execution from this young roster. Yeah.
It's tough at this point too, right? Because you look at how hard they've lost games 1 and 2, and you know, it doesn't matter how mentally resilient you are. That is going to shake your confidence in your ability to play some of these games out, right? And if you aren't confident that your plays are going to work, it becomes very scary to actually go for some of these aggressive plays. Like right now, Viper's just probably going to die.
Yeah, he's dead. The Gnar came out. There's just too much crowd control from Viper to be able to set it up. And Surdy doesn't really have any health because he rushed his Iron Spike Whip. Aspect is going to go in for the Shurima Shuffle. Right. It does put Viper in a bad spot. Nice. Good job, EGP. Nice punish.
Yeah, that was really good. The fact that they're roaming up, because you know, No Org, they're playing a lot of these things cleanly, but they're not necessarily crossing all their T's and dotting all their I's, right? They didn't leave after that while Fi-Fire was saying, hey, my lane's not here, my lane's not here, he's probably roaming up, and they didn't do anything about that anyway. Good flash.
Oh, Tomio being able to dodge out on most of the spells from Fi-Fire. Look at that!
Let's go.
Okay, Tomio, okay. Flexing the muscles on the Graves. Already, we're seeing a change in how the confidence level for Tomio is being able to look. With picks like Olaf, you know, your windows of skirmishing are much more limited if the enemy team is just able to run away from you in distance. But with Graves, you have a little bit more range, and you can get into the thick of the fight, and you have a lot of decent sustained damage as time goes on. And so now Tomio, between him and Aspect, they're really putting in the work to try and keep EGP afloat during the first 10 minutes.
Yeah. Oh, Viper.
Another punish. Look at this.
Nice. Let's go.
Hell yeah.
We got a game. All right,
now,
okay.
I know for any No Org fans they're looking like, hey guys, why are you guys being so biased for EGP? Hey, listen,
I want a
Org just
series.
won the first 2 games. Yeah, we want a competitive series. We don't want just a blowout. That's boring. So like,
I haven't been able to cast with Mark for like months. This is the first time that we've been able to do this together, and holy moly, every single member of No Org.
Yeah, No Org.
Okay, just 2 people, but you know. It's really important, right? There's getting all this gold suddenly going over because they're not winning in CS. They're actually losing their lanes, right? You got a 20 CS difference in the top, a 20 in the mid lane, and 20 in the bottom lane. The only place where you're ahead in CS is this Graves. But they're also losing a ton of plates. This entire bottom lane turret just went down. The Ocean Dragon just went over to No Org. So while we say we do have a game, you know, we still got to see a lot more from Evil Geniuses to actually close this one out because it's not obvious that they're going to be able to find it, but they find Viper again.
Yes, they are hard committing to the push and the dive. They're hard committing to the tent that they're setting up onto Viper. And this is exactly what we asked for going into Game 2. We saw a little bit of attention going over to Viper, but it wasn't enough. And now Evil Geniuses Prodigy saying, you know what? We are going to be losing resources no matter what on one side of the map. Let's just hard commit and make sure that we are putting someone super far behind. And if Viper has been by far the best performing player on this roster for the entire Proving Ground circuit, then that is the best player that you can look to put in the dirt.
Yeah, they are being decisive. They have a game plan and they're executing on it. Mist comes up once again, and you've been seeing the interactions between the Gnar and the Alistar. They are not good for Gnar. You just get caught out really, really easily. And if you get caught in the middle of your hop as mini Gnar, you don't have base resistances. You don't have base health to fall back on. And this is really, really good. Bring so many members up, and you have this fantastic late game to play with as well with the Azir and the Seraphine, who have been... Well, Azir hasn't really been quiet, but he's been a big beneficiary of a lot of these kills. And Shiro on the Seraphine also going to have this big impact later on in the game as he continues to scale up. You notice he's also going for damage this game. He thinks that there's enough sustain on his team. He thinks that there's enough there that he doesn't need to create even more power for them through his items. He's going to be very happy to do it, just making sure that he's another damage threat so that if one of them goes down, there's still more gameplay to Evil Geniuses.
I'm surprised he didn't opt in for Moonstone when you already have a strong magic damage source and aspect, but you know what? If it works for Evil Geniuses, then I'm not going to be the one to complain about it, you know? Sometimes you got to do the things that if it helps you win the game, then it is what it is. As we get ready for this second Rift Herald about to spawn on the map, already No Org are looking to be the first ones to the punch and compete for this objective. Value already on the top side of the map here. He does have his Essence Reaver, as you mentioned before. Value has been quietly just farming and taking turret plates. So this side is going to be really fun, but they're going to look to punish Fire once again. Event Horizon comes out, but the distance is not enough. Skirmisher Saber should have the burn, and Daleman is going to be able to lock him down. And the Immortal Shield Bow, despite Anda trying to get in, it's not going to be enough for Tomio. He will still go down, but Mist gets the trade out for jungler. And now this makes the Rift Herald slightly harder for Evil Geniuses to take by themselves.
It is, but one of the big things that we haven't necessarily been looking at so far is the fact that throughout this entire time, Value has been in a side lane. He got an entire bottom lane turret. He's now taking the top lane turret, so he is quietly building himself a shutdown. He is 0, 0, and 0, but he's got 150 gold bounty on his head on top of the regular gold you already get. And so this guy is going to be super, super scary as you start coming into these team fights because he's been completely untouched, and it's kind of difficult for the members of EG to lock this guy down. Once again, just as we saw with him playing the Ezreals previously, he now has the tools to peel for himself, and the Viger stun on top of that will buy him so much space throughout the course of this game. So, you know, we have a game on our hands, but you notice that despite the kill lead going in favor of EG, they are still down about 1,000 gold.
And that's just all due to the CS that has been accrued by most of the solo laners. They have been able to catch up because they keep finding picks on them, and they're punishing their over-aggression and their tendency to stay too far up in the laning phase. Now,
Oh,
Evil
teleport.
Genius
Here
is
comes
starting
Viper.
up this Rift Herald, but Viper is on the flank. He also almost has Mega Gnar formed quite yet, and this is going to try to buy some time, but big with the flash. Ferromancy engages the Mega
that's
Gnar,
huge.
but that's a beautiful Emperor's Divide. It's going to buy some space, but Viper still gets through the wall, finds a 3-man Gnar ultimate. Will give his life, but has traded already for Tomio. Now it's up to Aspect and Shiro to put in the rest of the work, but I say that again.
Let's go.
Surdy is the one that will bring the world ender to No Org.
All right. They're showing No Org that they can't disrespect them too hard, but man, the way that Aspect plays this fight is insane. He buys so much space. He blocks Viper coming in with the Hop Crunch, and at the same time, he gets layered with Shiro's ultimate. So everybody on the side of No Org suddenly gets stunned up for a long time. Viper goes down rather quickly after hopping over the wall, and Aspect and Shiro completely untouched after that. But it's not over. Shiro does have flash, but he's gonna get run down.
Yeah, Fire also has a lot of movement speed. It's gonna
Oh,
no! Shiro was trying to time the flash over the event horizon, but he flashes right onto the outer ring, gets stunned up. Fire is gonna be able to lock down that kill, and this gives him an opportunity to start up the dragon.
It's okay, right? Like, you know, I've said this a lot. The dragons, the buffs that they give, not particularly important. It's more important how many of them you have in your inventory. Now, there are 2 of them currently for No Org, but that is only half of the way you need to get to the Dragon Soul. You still got to pick up 2 more, and that gives EG a lot of space to play for this upcoming fight. Surdy got a potential flank.
Man, Stridebreaker Gnar is so nasty, being able to get the extra gap closing down, but Viper might have overstayed his welcome here, and Viper now on the retreat, but I believe the chains is going to bring him back into the fray. Value's now here trying to put some damage back, but once again,
Shiro?
the Emperor's Divide is just beautiful to be able to buy space between Aspect and Shiro against the rest of No Org. Viper and Big go down for the lives of Surdy and Tomio, so overall it's an even trade as both teams will disengage from each other.
Yeah, one of the big things we got to pay attention to in this whole thing is the fact that Shiro is now coming out of base. This is a bit more decisive and why No Org have been finding these big advantages, even though Viper goes rather low and ends up getting caught. And, you know, even gets hit by the second part of the Infernal Chains. They have 5 members here already. And by the time Shiro shows up to this fight, it's already been mostly decided. He only is really here to get a little bit more damage down. Yeah. Right, so they do enough, but if Shiro had been there the entire time, if he hadn't gone down previously, you know, this play suddenly becomes much more difficult for No Org, but it also shows how much play we still have left in this game, because if Shiro is there, that's a fight that can absolutely go in favor of the members of Evil Geniuses.
And check this out, Josh, because of the constant fighting, the members of Evil Geniuses have been able to catch up in CS because No Org can't focus on the CS because there's just been so much skirmishing throughout the jungle and in the river. We don't have another dragon for another 3 minutes here, but a Rift Herald will be spawning, or not a Rift Herald, Baron will be spawning on the table. That is always something that is a threat for Evil Geniuses because they do have Azir. Oh, Viper is looking to be starting up something. Oh my god. A lot of damage onto Surdy. Primordial Burst already gets used by Fire. Surdy doesn't have teleport, so if he recalls, he's going to be giving up a little bit of presence in defending this mid lane turret for pulling down.
Yeah, but do they really need to do a whole lot more than that? They just need to kind of be around here, escort this Rift Herald, and they should be able to crash this rather soon, but they got to get this wave in. Oh no. Tomio.
Okay. Well, Big taking a lot of damage on the back end, but Tomio does go down in exchange. The Rift no, Aspect is in a bad spot. If they can get the root down, a lot of damage flying out from No Org, but look at the damage coming out from Aspect, able to take out Fire, and he still lives throughout, and Aspect still going forward with the Shurima Shuffle, and he's still alive, and as I say that, Viper does finally get the killing blow down on him, but Surdy's still doing enough. Not going to be the killing blow on the Value anytime soon, and despite it all, it looked really good for Evil Geniuses Prodigies, but they couldn't finish off Value, and it was able to clean up the mess.
Yeah, it's such a close game right now. I mean, it starts off with the fact that Surdy is really, really low in this whole fight. Tomio ends up dying almost instantly, and it's the kind of thing that really benefits the decisiveness of No Org. If you just are willing to throw out these cages and kind of catch people, you're able to go for a lot of these fights that a lot of teams won't necessarily be ready for. And you saw that Evil Geniuses wasn't quite ready for it, and it took a huge play from Aspect to just stand and deliver through that whole thing for them to even have a really close fight in this situation. Value barely gets out at the very end, but the end result is that No Org is going to walk away with a Baron buff on multiple members and finally finding themselves a notable gold lead for the first time this game.
Value actually played that fight incredibly well. I didn't even notice that not only he dodged out on the Shurima Shuffle with the Featherstorm, but also being able to flash away from the Infernal Chains that had it remained tethered, Surdy could have finished him off there, but because he lives through that, he's able to finish off the remaining members of EGP, and Baron being secured now for No Org. We've been
Whoa.
We're gonna. Oh no. Well, I respect the attempt Aspect. Yeah. He wasn't ready for the event horizon. It looked like it was just masked off just based off of the vision, so he just flies right into the stun. And without the Azir, that's half of a majority of your damage being taken away. Aspect has been super crucial for Evil Genius's Prodigy's chances of winning these fights, but without him on the table, it's a lot of your wave clear that is down, and it gives up an opportunity for No Org to push into the base.
Yeah, it's suddenly much rougher, but I do like the fact that they are sending Surdy off onto the side in order to pick up something this whole thing, because they know they can't actually go for a fight at this point. But while it does mean that they lose a couple of structures on the map, they trade one back, the big thing that they're really looking at is this Cloud Soul, another dragon going into the pockets of No Org. They are one dragon closer to picking up the soul, and while their ultimates aren't the most impactful thing, Gnar ultimate is already such a low cooldown, and you know, the Viger ultimate isn't necessarily something they're always going to be playing around. It gives a lot of movement speed to all of the members of No Org. Yeah, you get the movement speed after you ult, but more than that, you just get 10%, I think it's 10% movement speed just all the time. And that means you rotate faster, so the decisiveness becomes even easier because you're going to have so many members in the right spot at the right time. And during these fights, it suddenly becomes way easier to walk away from Aspect's soldiers just because he's only got the one Q every couple seconds to really do anything with him. Wow, 5Fire, he's got 225 stacks. You can see it on his portrait on the right-hand side. He's going to be doing so much damage at this point. He's got the Cosmic Drive as well, so he's a speedy little bugger.
Not only he's speedy, but he's also able to fire out so many abilities off cooldown just because of how much ability paste he has in his back pocket. And, you know, just going back off the fact that if Cloud Drake is secured by No Org, not only you have to deal with Anda, who's going to be even faster when he pops the Ragnarok, but also big. Once he pops the Magnastorm, he's going to be able to reliably pull in more people just because of the extra movement speed you get off of that ult cast, as now we see No Org continuously playing the game of push in mid-wave, walk into the jungle, secure more vision, obscure any reliable and safe paths for Evil Genius's Prodigies to walk in. Now they have to walk in as a group and take time. Otherwise, if they were to walk in before, one by one, then it's an opportunity for 5Fire to just blow someone up, as Viper might be looking for the 1v1 onto Surdy. Got the slow. It's not enough to kill him, but it will force Surdy back.
Yeah. This is something that we hadn't really looked at before, but there's a 2-level difference between Viper and Surdy at this point. Viper is going to consistently be winning these side lane engagements just because of how much extra stats he has built into his character at this point. And makes things very difficult for EG to try and set up any kind of alternative to the big team fight that they have. And now they're kind of forced to try and engage into 5Fire's stun, right? And we've already looked at how difficult that's going to be. They have to be very proactive at locking him down first, and then they still have to worry about value on the other side of the fight, because as long as you don't get both of them, you still have another major damage dealer who you're going to have to charge into that is also fantastic at kiting backwards.
Next dragon is up on the table in about 2.5 minutes. No Org is going to be fighting for mid-wave control once again so that they can continue controlling the bottom half of the jungle so that they can get ready to obtain this Cloud Soul. Baron will be up in about a minute as well, so there's always that objective to play for, but it's slightly more difficult when all 5 members of EGP are up online, but there you can already see the makings of this vision denial in the works for No Org, as Big and Anda are doing their diligence of clearing out this jungle.
We'll see. They can do that because it is getting harder and harder, right? With so many members here, your vision control becomes more and more tenuous as the time goes on. And Fire down here, they're able to split. The fact that Vigar is able to split at this point is just super, super scary for Evil Geniuses, because anybody that walks into him, if you get hit by the stun, you're basically just going to die. There's not a whole lot of play to that champion. You just press R and you get to outplay whoever you want. So everybody on Evil Geniuses needs to be very careful in how they choose to play. And it gives a couple options, right? You can bring a bunch of people and be willing to trade 1-for-1 up against Fire's Vigar, or you can try and find a fight into somebody else, right? Because they are still going to be 4v5 for a crucial, 3-4 seconds before the teleport can really complete, and Vigar can participate in the fight, by which point the fight might already be over.
I wonder if Fire has his death cap ready, or maybe he's going for... Nope, just another NLR. Just to add a little bit extra AP. He's almost at 600, by the way. So this Vigar is going to hurt. I'm pretty sure if Aspect ever gets caught out, you might not even need Primordial Burst. You could kill this Azir with just QW. So you're gonna have to be careful. Fire looking for a pick opportunity on the Mist. Oh, he's just gonna flash over.
No!
Beautiful punt by Mist. It's a soft watch from Fire. How much time will it buy? Big is gonna be able to get in there and to make sure Fire can get out alive. He does flash over the wall. Aspect with the Shurima Shuffle trying to buy some time for the rest of Evil Geniuses to stay alive in this fight. But Surdy is on the back line. He's doing damage to Big, and he's doing damage to Anda, but it's not gonna be enough. Big will be able to get the killing blow down onto Surdy. Value finds Tomio, and this will go down as well. A beautiful attempt from this. He thought he saw the opportunity to get Fire, but the collapse and the answer from No Org was just so much better. Josh, Evil Geniuses Prodigies, they tried, but for them, it was not enough, because No Org have emerged the better team in this series and will emerge 3-0, and they will complete the fastest best of 5, not just for the team, but in amateur history.
Yeah, absolutely beautiful play at the end coming in from No Org. They had some time where they...